Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are jumping straight into a topic that, it affects nearly every relationship, yet it can often feel like we're trying to decode ancient hieroglyphs.
That's a good way to put it.
I'm talking about recognizing when your partner is actually interested in connecting sexually. It's, a common desire, but the language for it can feel utterly perplexing.
It's so true, and I think people come to this looking for like a simple cheat sheet, a signal that means go and a signal that means stop.
Right, a checklist.
Exactly. But desire is never that simple. It's deeply personal, it's subjective, and it's constantly being influenced by everything.
Yeah.
Your stress, relationship dynamics, personal history, culture.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our mission for this deep dive is to, basically tear up that simple checklist.
Right.
We're going to get into the language itself, that subtle, multifaceted mix of nonverbal stuff, verbal cues, behavioral patterns, and maybe most importantly, the emotional context that signals interest.
Precisely. And the goal here isn't to become a mind reader. It's to cultivate attentive observation and really open communication.
Because the stakes are high.
They are. When you consistently misinterpret your partner's bids for connection, it just creates emotional distance and a lot of frustration. But on the flip side, truly understanding their unique language, that's how you build profound connection and satisfaction.
So to even begin decoding these signals, we have to start at the absolute foundation. Because desire isn't just one thing, is it?
Not at all.
I mean, contemporary research, especially the work by Dr. Rosemary Basson, it really forces us to see that desire operates on a whole spectrum.
This is the starting line for everything else we'll discuss today. Most of us are familiar with the classic model, spontaneous desire.
The Hollywood version.
Exactly. The impulsive, I want sex right now feeling. It arises quickly, often triggered by a fantasy, a thought, maybe a visual cue. It's desire that comes before arousal.
That's the one that's easy to recognize, right? It hits like a light switch.
It does.
But if that's the only model we're using, we're going to completely miss, half the population? So what happens when we look at the other side of that spectrum?
That's where we find responsive desire. And this model is so critical, especially in long-term relationships where predictability and comfort can sometimes dampen that spontaneous spark.
Okay.
With responsive desire, the interest actually follows arousal rather than coming first.
So instead of thinking, I feel desire, therefore I will engage, the pattern is more like, I feel comfortable and connected, and if we start engaging in some, non-demanding physical intimacy, my desire will probably emerge.
That's it, exactly. They aren't initiating from a state of, intense, immediate want. They're initiating from a state of openness, a willingness to connect.
So the physical touch and the closeness are what actually generate the desire?
Right. The stimuli, the feeling of connection. That's the engine.
Wow. That distinction just changes everything about how you'd interpret a cue.
It has to.
Because if your partner is primarily responsive, their signal won't be some sudden, explicit proposition. Their cue might be as simple as just seeking proximity, closeness, or asking for a massage as an invitation.
An invitation to a process that might lead to desire. It takes all the pressure off. And that subtle seeking behavior is what we need to learn to decode.
Because it's never just one cue, is it?
Rarely. It almost always comes in clusters across all these channels at once, verbal, physical, and behavioral.
Okay, so let's start with the one we all tend to default to, the body's language. This is our second segment, decoding nonverbal and physical cues. The foundation here seems to be simple physics, right? Increased physical proximity and touch.
It starts with closing the distance. You just notice the space between you shrinking and the amount of touch increasing. And importantly, the touch has to feel intentional, even if it's not overtly sexual yet.
Our sources gave some really fantastic, subtle examples here. We're talking about the quality of the touch, like the lingering hand touch that lasts just a beat or two longer than it needs to, or the deliberate, non-requesting shoulder rub when you're standing at the sink.
Or even those accidental brushes in passing that somehow happen 5 times in an hour.
Right. Those movements signal an intention. But you're saying the face is maybe even more powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to focus on the eyes. If you're sharing prolonged, softened eye contact, that gaze that feels intimate or even a little heated, that's a huge sign.
And this is where the physiology gets really undeniable. You talk about dilated pupils.
Yes, your pupils expand automatically when you're focused on something pleasurable or attractive. It's a subconscious response.
So it's a physical tell you literally cannot fake.
You can't. You might also see what people call the bedroom eyes. Look, that slightly lowered eyelid, a very relaxed gaze, or even simpler things like a soft, genuine smile that seems just for you in that moment.
And sometimes lip biting or licking.
Often totally subconscious, just a little sign of excitement.
So beyond the face, the rest of the body is speaking volumes. You should be looking for open and receptive posture. So if you're just talking about something neutral, but their body is facing you directly, uncrossed arms, uncrossed legs, they're physically open to you.
And then there are those subtle, unconscious adjustments. We call them preening behaviors. Fixing their hair, smoothing their shirt.
An unconscious effort to look more attractive right in that specific moment.
Exactly. And we also see mirroring. If you lean in, they lean in. If you shift your posture, they subconsciously follow.
That level of physical synchronization tells you that they're really engaged. They're aligning with you.
And of course, sometimes the body's alarm system goes off in a good way. You might see flushed skin, maybe around the neck and chest, or notice their breathing becoming deeper or quicker when they get close.
Okay, so we have to mention the overt cues now, which kind of move us out of that subtle realm.
Right, the impossible to misread ones.
Things like initiating a deep, passionate kiss, or physically guiding your hand to a specific, intimate part of their body. I mean, that's a clear, nonverbal yes.
Absolutely. So, moving from the body to the voice, let's explore the verbal and auditory cues.
Okay.
While, direct initiation saying, I want you, or I'm in the mood, is the easiest path, it's really not the default for many people.
Especially if they're more responsive or maybe a little risk averse.
Exactly. So it's the indirect, suggestive language that you hear more often. This is where you might get a compliment that has a distinct, intimate edge to it.
Like, you look truly incredible tonight, or that shirt really makes me want to, and then they just sort of trail off.
Yes. Or they use romantic, nostalgic remarks as a kind of emotional kindling. Remember that amazing weekend we had in the mountains?
Right, they're using memory to create an intimate context in the present.
They are. But the real insight here, I think, lies in paralanguage. This is often completely overlooked. It's not what you say, but how you say it.
Ah, that's a critical distinction.
It is. So you need to listen for a lowered, softer, or maybe even huskier tone of voice. Maybe a whisper that's not really necessary for the context. Or even just simple sounds of contentment, like a relaxed sigh during a hug.
So the sound itself is the invitation.
The sound is the signal that they're dropping into a more intimate, present, and relaxed state.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so now we shift to the final channel, behavioral and contextual cues. These are actions that are taken to specifically create the possibility for intimacy.
This is where preparation meets proposition.
I like that.
And it's a huge category. It starts with just creating opportunity and privacy.
So things like suggesting going to bed way earlier than usual.
Or consciously turning off the TV midway through a show, or doing the hard work of getting the kids settled early so you have uninterrupted time. They're prioritizing the two of you over everything else.
And this leads right into what our sources call emotional foreplay or investing in connection.
Because desire rarely flourishes in an emotional vacuum. This might look like sending a flirty text during the day or making an effort to reduce your stress.
Like maybe they quietly clean the kitchen that you left a mess.
Yes. Or initiating a deep, non-sexual conversation about how you're feeling. They're clearing the relational debris. If you come home tense and exhausted, the cue for connection might actually be them helping you relax first.
So a partner bringing you a glass of water and saying, put your feet up, is actually setting the stage for emotional safety.
Which is an absolute prerequisite for responsive desire.
And even self-care can be a subtle invitation, right? Especially when they kind of involve you afterwards.
Absolutely. Taking a long shower, putting on specific lingerie, applying a favorite scent, and then deliberately presenting themselves to you. It's a nonverbal way of saying, I am ready to be seen and connected with.
So this is where all these different observations have to come together, because a single cue is just noise, right?
It's just a data point.
Yeah.
To accurately recognize desire, you have to apply the critical consideration of context.
Totally. You have to know your partner's baseline. If your partner is just a naturally touchy, affectionate person, that daily lingering touch might just be them being them.
But if they're suddenly increasing the frequency or intensity of that touch, or if their usual joking style has taken on a new flirtatious tone, that deviation from the norm is the signal.
And if we zoom out, you also have to consider the relational context.
Right.
If you have significant unresolved tension, or if one of you is just bone tired from work, desire gets suppressed.
And sometimes an initiation isn't even about physical need. It can be a bid for reassurance or repair. They're seeking closeness because they feel distant, and sex is the closest tool they have to express that need.
That insight takes us straight back to the foundational work of Dr. John Gottman and his whole concept of bids for connection. A lingering touch, a request to hold hands, a soft sigh, sharing a small story from their day, these are all bids.
And recognizing and turning towards those bids is everything. If your partner says, "My day was rough," and you put your phone down and listen, that's turning towards.
And that paves the way for intimacy.
It does. But rejecting those bids or turning away, like saying, "I don't have time for this right now," that just shuts down the pathway to desire, whether it's spontaneous or responsive.
It creates safety, knowing their small attempts at connection are welcome. And finally, we have to acknowledge the huge filter applied to all of this: cultural and personal differences.
So important. Your partner's upbringing, their cultural background, their personal history, all of that dictates their comfort level with being expressive.
So there's no universal right amount of openness.
None. If they come from a family where touch was scarce, a single gentle hand on your arm might be the biggest signal they can possibly manage. The responsibility is on you to learn their unique language.
Okay, so given all this complexity, how do you move forward without constantly second-guessing or, making assumptions that just add more pressure?
You have to adopt a crucial mindset shift. You move from goal-oriented interpretation, where every cue is a potential yes or no for sex, to just curious observation.
So you think, I notice my partner has been incredibly affectionate tonight. I love that. I wonder what that connection feels like for them.
Exactly. And that curiosity then prepares you for the gentle inquiry. If the cues feel ambiguous, you use a verbal check-in.
And that inquiry has to be super low pressure and open-ended.
It's crucial. You have to avoid the high-pressure, intimidating question like, "So, do you want to have sex right now?"
Laughs. Yeah, that puts them on the spot immediately. Creates performance anxiety, makes no feel really difficult.
So a better, more constructive alternative.
Right. What's a better way?
You focus on the shared pleasure and connection that's already happening. Try saying something like, "I'm really enjoying this closeness with you right now. How does this feel for you?"
Or, "You seem really relaxed tonight. I love holding you. Is this touching feeling good?"
Yes. Would you like to keep connecting like this? You make it about the shared experience, not the final destination.
And that technique feeds right back into that responsive desire model we talked about, the stepwise or incremental approach. So instead of a big, explicit proposition, you initiate low-pressure, pleasurable contact. Start with a back rub, focused kissing, close cuddling, and then you just pay exquisite attention to their body's response.
You're watching for the microsignals. Do they deepen their breath? Do they relax into you? Do they reciprocate to touch instantly?
Or, on the other hand, do they tense up, pull away, or just stay passive?
Right. This incremental approach turns intimacy into a shared, consensual journey where desire builds together rather than being a demand.
This raises what might be the single most important action of all. What happens when you misread the cues and the answer is no or not right now?
The ultimate test of a healthy, secure sexual relationship is exactly how that no is handled.
Because if you react with disappointment, anger, guilt tripping,
or emotional withdrawal,
yeah,
you are teaching your partner that expressing themselves is dangerous, and they'll just stop initiating or responding altogether.
It just erodes the safety that desire needs to even exist. So what's the golden rule for the constructive response?
Keep it simple, keep it non-judgmental, and focus on the affection, not the outcome. Just say, "Okay, no problem at all. I just love holding you."
And then you have to genuinely transition back to just holding or whatever they're comfortable with.
That response maintains trust and safety and ensures they feel safe to express their desire or lack of it in the future.
This has been a truly comprehensive deep dive. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Recognizing desire is clearly not a detective game you play alone. It's a collaborative project.
And it demands three things. First, ongoing dialogue. You have to have explicit conversations outside the bedroom about what initiation looks like for both of you.
And what cues you each appreciate seeing.
Second, emotional safety. Desire only blooms where there is non-judgment and trust.
And third, attentiveness. Really being present, slowing down, and just noticing the subtle shifts in your partner's energy, breath, and posture.
And while the cultural and personal expressions of desire may vary wildly, the core human needs for intimacy and connection are universal. We really encourage you to embrace this holistic, compassionate approach to truly harmonize with your partner's unique rhythm of desire.
And let's leave you with this final thought. Your shared language of desire needs reinforcement. When your partner initiates or responds in a way that makes you feel wanted, you have to tell them.
Provide positive, specific feedback. I really loved when you adjusted your posture and leaned in earlier. It made me feel so connected to you. That kind of positive reinforcement is how you help your unique shared language evolve and deepen your connection over time.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.